Hey everybody, welcome back to the Center Lane, the political discussion for those of us in the center who just want to have our politicians get something done, find consensus. Moderate is good, too far to left or right, not so good. First off, let's talk about that little debate we had the other night between Nikki and DeSantis, Ron. Lightly viewed, only 2 million people watched it versus almost 5 million watched, Trump's town hall meeting at the same time. So that kind of tells you where we stand, right? I mean, sometimes numbers don't lie, right? Nikki Haley's an accountant. She'll tell you that. Numbers don't lie, man. So all in all, that debate, I kind of bounced back between both and read some follow-up and listened to a couple podcasts of people who gave their critiques on it. I tried to get a view of what I saw because I wasn't 2 hours. I couldn't do it. Like I said, with Ron and Nick, they were going at each other like grade school kids, calling each other names and liars and this and that. So that wasn't so good. As far as substance in there, I did think that I don't know. I don't want to say it was something that would stand out to me. One thing that did stand out to me, I will say, is they asked a question about January 6th of 2021. How do you feel? What do you think about that day? And Nikki Haley said a pretty decent answer. I thought she goes, I think that was a terrible day, and Trump thought it was a good day. I think it's not, and then he's going to have to be held accountable for that. And oh, by the way, Joe Biden won that election. Straight up answer. Take away from that what you want, whether you agree or disagree. That's what she said, and it was a straight up answer. They asked the same question to DeSantis, and he starts talking about Dr. Fauci. Like what? He couldn't even answer that question. Well, that day I'm going to follow the Constitution, and what about Dr. Fauci and the Constitution and those men? It's like, and here in Florida we didn't. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? That wasn't the question. And first off, I can tell you because I live in Florida. Yes, they loosened some restrictions more than the other states did, maybe a little earlier here, but people disregarded what he loosened or not. Businesses still required masks. Walmart, where I worked at, I worked in a private university as an instructor, and we had to wear masks. And then we had to make all our stuff available online for our students, and they had to come in. Didn't have nothing to do with DeSantis. This is just trying to keep people safe because at the time there was no vaccine. There was nobody knew what COVID was going to be or how bad it was going to get. That's why we had precautions. Yeah, in retrospect, it's like, oh, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought. Okay, fair enough, but we didn't know that then. Nobody knew. And to act like you knew all along that it was no big deal, which it wasn't, by the way. I mean, I have personal family members I've lost from that, including my dad. So I have to say goodbye to him over the phone, while he was on a respirator. So don't tell me that COVID wasn't real, so whatever. But the point is, he wasn't some kind of a, visionary of trying to push in the right path. Businesses took care of business, and that's what businesses do. Politicians only have, thankfully, so much power in that, what businesses decide to do, what's right for people. And, we got through it and fine. So, but it's over and that's great too. We have to remember it, but we don't need to dwell on it. We need to move forward and be ready for the next thing. There might be a disease coming down the road that's a lot worse than COVID. We don't know that. So we don't know. That's my point. Anywho, so he couldn't even answer that question. I thought, man, you can't even answer a question. What are you afraid of? You want to talk about your record in Florida? Well, if you start looking under a microscope, half the stuff that you say you won at is under court with huge lawyer bills going both ways with Disney and all this stuff. It's a mess. So anyways, not high on him, as you know. I've said that before. I'll let it go at that. But as far as the debate went, yeah, he had a more relaxed style. He's gotten better, DeSantis, at debating, I would say, definitely. But it's just, he just can't, he's a politician to the core. He talks about the swamp. He's one of those guys. And so is she, to that degree. Trump, on the other hand, like I said, his approach on his town hall was very relaxed. And I'll tell you what, from what I saw and heard, I think he's trying to put people's mind at ease a little bit. He's no dummy, man. He knows how to read the room. That's why he's so popular. And he was a little more on the moderate side on some issues like abortion and stuff than he said before. Look, still, I don't think he's the right guy to be our president. But I'll tell you one thing, he's smarter than he appears sometimes. He knows how to read people and how to carry them along with him without alienate them. And I'm give him credit. He's good at it. I don't want to see him as our president, but you got to give the guy credit for that. So anyway, so we go back to the caucus itself, which is Monday night. So it's all, with Christie dropping out, by the way, which everybody's probably heard. a lot of those people are going to go with Nikki Haley more than likely, more than DeSantis for sure. So that's going to help her a lot in New Hampshire, and that could be a real horse race there, especially because what I think is going to happen is that Trump's going to win by probably 30 points in Iowa. DeSantis and Haley will be within a couple points of each other, both claiming victory, but Nikki Haley's not that worried about Iowa like DeSantis is. He'll try to say, well, look, I beat her by 2 points. That shows you that it's a two-person race, whatever. He'll try to spin it, and then I don't blame him. He's fighting for his political life, I suppose. But after that, he's going to probably end up dropping out. He might stick around through New Hampshire, which would be good for Haley, actually, because he pulls away votes from Trump. If he was to drop out between Iowa and New Hampshire, that's going to probably, most of his people will go to Trump, and that's going to hurt Haley. So she'd be better off if he just kind of stuck around, got his 7 or 8% in New Hampshire, made her super close with Trump, and see what happens in South Carolina. But man, South Carolina, a lot of Trump people there. I don't see a path for either one of them. Just Trump's got this thing, and he's got it. And by the way, too, by the caucus in Iowa, only like 150,000 people are actually going to vote or caucus, because it's not like voting. You got to go. You got to show up at 7 o'clock at night, stay for 2, 3, 4 hours, listen to speeches, then vote. And it's going to be 4 degrees that night, 4 degrees below zero. How many people are going to show up to that? I don't know, man, Not a whole lot. And so we'll see how that goes, too. But at the end of the day, I think Trump's going to take that. And there's no clear path for either one of the other two, because after South Carolina, most of the states are winner take all. So if Trump wins by 1 percentage point, he's going to get all the votes. So, he's going to win all those states by at least a few percentage points, and he's going to just sweep it. So then we get into the general election, and it'll be between Trump and Biden. But one thing I did find interesting yesterday was I read that the No Labels group is starting to kind of fire up their engines a little bit again. No Labels, if you don't remember what they were, they're a third-party candidate, which I know we have a couple out there like Kennedy's. Which actually Kennedy's doing pretty good. I know my neighbors are really high on him. I'm not crazy about him, but whatever. It's good that he's out there, I think, to have that other option for people. But the No Labels group is really starting to get fired up with this, because they're seeing the writing's on the wall now. We're into the primaries, and Trump's going to take it. So they need to get their act together. They're raising $300 million. They've got some potential candidates, people that are interested. Of course, everybody knows Senator Manchin from West Virginia, Joe Manchin. He's one person they've talked about heading the ticket. John Huntsman, who I like a lot. He was the ex-governor, I believe, over in Utah. Very moderate, middle-lane guy. Larry Hogan, another guy, another Republican. So you got some middle-of-the-road Republicans and Democrats thinking about banding together and giving us another option. Now, that's interesting to me. Like, I talked about Dean Phillips before. If you don't know who he is, he's running against Biden now on the Democratic side, and he's just getting blackballed. He is by the news medias, and the only thing they're doing now is just making fun of him. Like, he had nobody show up at an event the other day, so they switched the cameras just to show him sitting alone there with some people drinking coffee. It's like, rubbing his nose in it. And I got to think that not Biden maybe personally, but his team is making sure that Phillips looks like a fool, and he's not. He's a very smart guy. He's a very moderate guy. I like him. I've been listening and following him quite a bit, but he's getting zero traction. I mean, that lady Marianne Williamson, the author, New Age book author, is even beating him. So, and he's a serious candidate. Businessman. I like that. I like the businessman. He's got some good ideas about immigration, border security, some things that make sense. Some solutions, not just deport everybody. That's not happening. There's over 10 million people at least in this country that you'd have to go and round up and deport. No, by the way, 65% of those people didn't come across the border. They overstayed their travel visas. That's how people get here. The border, yes, is definitely a problem, but it's gotten better lately, but it's a problem. It always has been. But what really is a problem is people getting in here kind of legally, and they don't leave. And then they get other people in it the same way, and that's how it grows. So if you're going to stop illegal immigration, you got to go more than just putting a bunch of troops down the border and attacking Mexico, drug cartels, and all that crap. It's not going to fix the problem all the way. So, anyways, that's what we got. The Iowa caucus was in 2-3 days off. So I'll definitely drop a podcast in after that and see how what we got with that. I think it's going to be like I said, probably Trump winning by quite a bit, and the other two kind of a couple points one way or the other. DeSantis trying, if he's a couple points ahead of Haley, he'll spin that and try to probably ride it out through New Hampshire, but he might just drop out. I was surprised that Christie dropped out like that. I really was. I thought he was going to at least see what happened in New Hampshire, but he did the right thing. And then people are talking like, well, why are these guys staying anyways? Well, a lot of them are saying, well, they're going for 2028. That's why they're just, they're in a practice, and they say Haley wants to be VP, this and that. I don't know if I believe that so much, but she might take the VP thing. I don't know. She's a politician. I wouldn't doubt it. She'll spin that one way or another. But who would be in 28? Just a quick list. I want to talk more about this down the road. I just wrote down some names. First off, one guy, I listened to a podcast and he goes, Trump loses, he could run in 28. Why not? It's good business for him. He'll be 81. He'll still get 30%. He'll probably still, he could still be a spoiler in 28 if he loses this go around. Claim it was stolen, some crap, whatever, come back. Now people will believe him. They love him. They love him. And he'll only be 81, same age as Biden. So that could happen. The other ones that are going, DeSantis, I don't think he came in with high hopes. So you're going, well, then why can't he run in 28? Well, here's the problem. Guys that come in with high hopes and then lose spectacularly like he's going to, don't have a chance to come back. I'll give you some examples. Scott Walker. He was the guy. Oh, he's going to come in there and he got trumped and he got kicked, You'll never hear of him running for president again. Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush was the man. But after Trump beat him, he ain't going to try again. He doesn't have, people won't back him. And I think the same thing's going to happen to DeSantis. When you come in, you're 30% and you go down to 10 or 5%, that doesn't look like a winner in 4 years from now. Like guys, now here's some other guys that ran, I think will try to run again but their narrative is different. Marco Rubio, he's going to run again. He's going to run in 28. I'll guarantee you that. And yes, he lost, but he didn't lose spectacularly. I guess that's the way to put it. If you lose spectacularly, like a DeSantis or a Walker or a Jeb Bush, or a Gary Hart on the Democratic side, these guys were all rock stars. And they came in and they lost spectacularly. And you can't come back from that, man. It's really, really hard. People remember, and people in the party remember, and like, no, this guy, man, we've been there and done that with this dude. It ain't working out. So I think that, just real quick, and I'm going to wrap this up. I think it's good. Marco Rubio is going to run. I think Ted Cruz will run again. I don't think DeSantis will run. I think that Youngkin will run, Glenn Youngkin. I think that Chris Sununu will run. I think that maybe for the Magna thing, Sarah Huckabee would be in there. Christie Noem. Yeah, there's some people in there, some names that you're familiar with that are biding their time. 28 is going to be interesting for the Republicans and Democrats. So we'll see how that goes. I'll wrap it up for now. If you're still awake, thank you for watching. Don't forget I have my free novel on there, 2 novels I wrote there called Bear. It's a free audiobook. All you got to do is just go to my channel and hit play, and it's free, huh? All right, you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.